Welcome to the Wealth Transfer News. I am Terry Saka, Chief Strategist. I'm along with Dr. Charles Vance for the fiery part of the Bible and the Holy Spirit.
I'm telling you, you had me whipped all over the place last week, man.
We are fired up over this. I tell you what, we just come off the heels of the convention. We know what we're up against here. We are definitely up against a revolution where the Democrats have been co-opted by socialists, anarchist revolutionaries, aka communists, and we in America don't know what that means.
But can you give me a free cell phone?
That's the point here.
Can you give me a free cell phone?
You know,
can you give me free medical care? I want to keep in can you give me free housing?
You know what, let's do this right now because, let's tell them right now what that was. We were talking during the break, we were talking with our producer, and he really gave us a wonderful, wonderful point, Stephen, that was just really awesome. He basically, you can't really draw it right now, so we got to try to explain this, but he did a phenomenal thing. So I'm going to try to do it with my hands, okay? This is what I'm going to do. Here's the deal. We know socialism basically says, I'm going to give you a free phone, free house, free food, free this, free that, and all you got to do is sit around and smoke some dope and relax and vote for me and give me power over those who do produce money, and I'll steal it from them and give it to you. That's, in a nutshell, what socialism is. And I throw the dope in there because I've seen tremendous interviews of people who say, why would I want to go to work when I can sit around and smoke a joint? So, and plus they did make it legal, with Obama, so why not? But anyway, here, listen, this is a great illustration. Here is what's really going on. These are people that don't believe in God, mind you, because remember, if you're lazy and slothful, you don't eat. So the Bible basically says you go down. So we have already walked away from our constitutional Christian roots. Now, here's what he does. What your source is. So here's your source. Okay, whatever it is, let's do this.
Let's say it's the government. Let's say it's the government.
Yeah, it's government. So what's your source? Whatever your source is becomes your God. So if your source is the government becomes your God. If your source is God, God's your God, right? So whatever your source is becomes your God. Now we're into idolatry, of course, right? Which is an abomination on the Ten Commandments. What becomes your God becomes your ceiling. And you can only go up to that point. And what did he say on that? You can only believe in it? No, you can only access.
It's just impossible to pass that ceiling.
It's impossible to pass that ceiling because if the government is your God, you have to do 100% what the government tells you to do.
But that's the cap of your resources.
That's the cap of your resources. And so you're always going to live in that little...
God has such an ability beyond... Ephesians 3:20 says he's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you can ask or think. But it's according to the power that works in you. Part of that power is the faith that you have in God and operating by the love of God so that faith will work in your life. Terry, something else we talked about...
well, let's tell him what he finished on that, what Stephen gave us. I thought that was great. So whatever your source is becomes your God. And that becomes then the ceiling in which you can only go to. Now remember, there is great stories of people in this country who came from other places who were poor as poor and has strived and risen to excellent levels and achieved excellent things. You can never do that in socialism, by the way. You will always be a slave. That's what's so sad because they always try to bring up slavery in the African-American community, but yet they don't realize that the very socialists that are running the Democratic Party are not only the ones who were keeping them in slavery back in the actual day, it was Republicans that actually freed them from slavery. But it's the very socialist movement that will keep you in bondage. And that's a very tragic thing. So let me finish this, and I want you to go into that. Because that's why the Bible says you have eyes, but you don't see. And you have ears, and you don't hear. Because you're trapped in your God being government, and government which is luciferianly influenced and ran and controlled. And you've walked away from truth, and you don't see, and you don't hear. Problem is, folks, we can't argue that. You cannot have a conversation with an antichrist or an unbeliever because their eyes don't see, their ears don't hear. They will never believe you. Our mission and our goal right now in the kingdom, my challenge to everyone listening, get to those who think and actually are in Jesus Christ. Get them to understand you better pull that handle for Donald Trump because whether you like him or not, The alternative is not only an anti-Christ socialist, an alternative in Hillary Clinton is the biggest promoter next to Barack Obama of killing and aborting babies, of sucking them out and tearing them apart and selling off their body parts. And she vowed to bring in another 1 million Muslims who we have no idea are terrorists. And as we outlined last week, how many? 1,000 of them in the last 2 years, radical Islamic terrorists have destroyed and killed people, right down to little kids. How disgusting that they can stand there and say that that's not evil and mean. You see, we can't argue with the unbeliever because they don't have eyes to see or ears to hear. We can get to those brothers and sisters who refuse to vote or who don't know what to do. Tell them one's an anti-Christ, Luciferianly influenced. The other one's going to give us the best chance to bring God back into our society, because I know where Charles is going to go with the rest of this too. It's very important.
Terry,
here.
Unbelievers are blinded by their source. Because that's where their focus is. Yeah. Their focus is on their source. If your source is a cell phone, if you think a free cell phone or free housing is your source, you're going to be blinded by that. You're not going to listen to anything that anybody else has to say. Jesus said this, the parable of the talents in Matthew chapter 25. He said there were 3 people that were given things according to their ability to reproduce those things. And he said the first 2 reproduced double. In other words, they got out and worked. They used what they had to reproduce. The third one decided he was just going to stick the stuff in the ground and do nothing. And he said he didn't even want it. When the guy that gave him the resources to reproduce with, he said, I was uncomfortable with it and I want you to have it back. He said, take from him what he has and give it to the man that worked. Don't see, we're doing the opposite in the country, which is totally unbiblical.
Well,
we're taking stuff, I'm telling you, we're taking, so I could preach here for a while. You got fervent yesterday.
You know what? You're right on the money with that, though.
We're taking things from people that work. The more money you make in this country, the more you're taxed. That's wrong. The more you work, the less you should be taxed. You should be rewarded for working. And if you're not working, you shouldn't be rewarded for it.
But in what you just said, this is so huge. Well, man, I just lost that part. No, it was, shoot. Okay, let's go back, because this was amazing. It's about the reward, but the consequences of it.
The consequences are always, and no matter what anybody thinks.
I'll get that again.
The consequences are, if you don't work, it's eventually going to be taken away from you. That's how simple it is.
I agree, but see, the thing is, what we're doing is I'm not going to go there because I lost the train, but he nailed a really big point there, and it's so vital for us to. Oh yes, that's Lucifer he described.
Certainly
Everything the opposite of.
Certainly it is.
If the Bible says if you don't work, we should be taken from you. Vice versa, right? Now, granted, there are people that are poor. There was a system for welfare.
Yes.
But this is different. We are promoting an entitlement system for pure political control. They're promoting socialism so they can destroy the very Constitution, destroy your freedom of speech, your right to bear arms, and so forth. Destroy we the people in the Bible, we the people in Jesus Christ. It's not about helping poor people. We have 100 million in this country that are not working right now, yet we're bringing in illegal aliens. Why? For power and control. Now, so we're showing you where this fight is taking place in the United States. It's coming because they're going to do it on the heels of the financial stress that's coming. Now, we've talked about this in other programs. Go back and watch them. What's coming right now today. The Italian banks are on the verge of collapse. They're ready to wipe out the whole European Union. Deutsche Bank in Germany is on the verge of collapse. They're ready to wipe out the European Union. And why does it matter to you? Because if the European banks start going down, so do the U.S. And we're going to have this financial I call it a reset. It's coming whether you believe it or not. It's just a matter of when. So why take chances? Get educated. Get your 401k and IRA in the right place. Get prepared, because you want to be here for the fight, but you won't be if you lose your finances. Take a look at this.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
So don't be fooled by the financial advisors. God bless them if they're Christian, but they're in the fiat world. They're trained and conditioned and educated by the fake paper fiat system, and don't be fooled. Silver's up some 50% from the low. The point is, it doesn't even matter. It's protecting yourself. Get information on how you can protect that IRA. Get information and be educated and get prepared. Be diversified. This is constitutional money, mind you. Article 1, Section 8. Congress has a right to coin money, which is silver. Get protected. It's biblical money. It always has been the right place to be. We always were wealthier if we were there. So just understand and take it seriously. Give us a call. Register for information. Don't be shy. And be cautious. Listen to the systems of the world, because that's Lucifer's realm, remember. The Bible says God of the world is Lucifer. So
there's two types of people in the world that I've seen, consumers and producers. Now, if everybody becomes a consumer, there's nothing left. So we've got to learn to be producers. And I'm telling you, there's nothing that causes more joy and more happiness in your life than to produce things. God created us in His likeness and after His image. God doesn't just sit around and do nothing. The Bible said that the words that He spoke to speak everything into existence actually holds everything. He upholds all things by the word of His power. So God's words, they're always at work. God is always at work. He's a producer. And if we're made like Him, we're supposed to be producers as well. It's not just a privilege that we have, but it's a responsibility that we have to be producers. And I'm telling you, nothing will make you more happy than learning to be a producer.
Well, I wanted to go into, because we did talk about how the United States was developing this anarchist revolution. And if you don't think it is, I've been watching for a long time. I pay attention. I'm telling you, it is definitely a movement. When they think it's okay to go and shoot that many police officers and call for a war on police, and that's not just an individual, mind you, it was a movement, and even congressmen and other people have said it. So when they make those type of comments, you better believe this is just the beginning. But I also want to get into the global. Now, this is going to be a little left field, but understand that the Bible says that the God of the world is Lucifer, and the world defined in the Bible is the systems of. So check out what's going on over in Switzerland. This is a real curveball, but I'm just trying to outline. We're going into a very dark era in this world's history. And know that it's coming, because I believe it's going to be a massive financial reset. There's going to be a lot of suffering globally because of economics. And then there's going to be a battle for control. Will it be socialists or free people? Most of the world's going to be socialist. America, are we going to hang on to our root? So anyway, check this out. This is known as the CERN Collider. Now, I know this is a left ball or way out in left field here, but this is a massive atom-smashing collider in CERN, Switzerland. Just miles and miles of tunnel. They have created this unbelievable machine that is designed to open up and rip open the fabric of our third dimension and go into another realm. Now, scientists believe this, and then why I'm telling you is because scientists, these types, don't believe in God. But they're working on behalf of Lucifer. And here's what I'm telling you why. Look at what's outside of the CERN Collider facility. Now, mind you, this is unbelievable. That's right. A massive monument of Shiva.
False god.
Oh, beyond false god. Shiva is a highly demonic, extremely aggressive god, false god, demonically. And they worship Shiva. I mean, they have ceremonies and worship Shiva right at the heels of this atom smashing collider, which is ripping the fabric open of the third dimension realm we live in. And look at this. This was taken this was taken right above CERN. Check this out. Oh, let me go back to that. This was taken just above CERN. Now, I know there's been plenty of storms. We all have seen this before. But if you've noticed, right on, let's even put this up if we can, right down below is the city of CERN. How convenient the light is shining right down like a beam to the city, and it goes up into this radical storm formation. And look at that. That is breathtaking. That's what's going on above CERN. Whatever they're doing there, it's not good. Now, without getting too crazy, I'm here to probably say they're opening up spiritual realm doors we don't want. And are they trying to do what the Nazis were trying to do? Reincarnate Nimrod? Bring back the Nephilim? Basically the Antichrist evil control? Who knows? All I know is they're doing it, and it's not healthy. So look at this. Now, this picture, Charles, you may get a really good one over. This is the Anunnaki, king of the Anunnaki. And this is an ancient piece. We should probably put that up because it's hard to see. An ancient piece that goes way back in Mesopotamian, way back to the time. It's in the Bible stuff, you'll know. But look at the king and look what's in the middle. Those are purportedly DNA strands with a tree of life and an energy source in the middle. Even back then, they were trying to pull off eugenics. They were trying to really splice man and God. It goes into Genesis 6.
So these guys were they were in Babylon, right?
This is I'm not exactly sure. I'm so apologetic that I didn't have this memorized out. This is the Sumerian, the Babylonian era when this was taking place. And back then, it was incredibly evil and sadistic. Certainly. Because Nimrod thought Nimrod was one of the only ones supposedly that had become a demigod, and he wanted to destroy God for destroying the earth with the flood. And the reason I brought this up is because this is exactly what the esoteric and occult are doing in the world, exactly what the Nazis were trying to do, and they're trying to reincarnate the Antichrist. I think it's really bring the Antichrist back, but they're trying to reincarnate this evil, eugenics, transhumanistic mindset. And this is true, mind you. I mean, this is nothing we know. That's exactly what Planned Parenthood is and abortion, why they're selling off the body parts. They're doing it for science and eugenics and gene splicing manipulation. That goes all the way back to the ancient Sumerian. There is nothing good about that. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because this stuff that's going on in CERN, this stuff that's taking place globally, it's changing our world. We're going into a very, very dark era. And this is not about fear, mind you. I am merely a watchman on the wall, shouting to the people, we the people in the kingdom of the United States, Jesus Christ, shouting, there's something really bad in the global economy. Wait till you see over the next few weeks some of this data. I mean, we keep doing it, but I'm going to keep showing. Something really dark is moving through Europe. Something really dark is moving through our nation, this socialist movement. It's not good. And Europe is ready to fall, let alone the Islamic infiltration, let alone the massive amount of rape and destruction to the European women. I don't understand the European men, man. I'd be fighting and standing up. But their rape increasing 1,000, 1,400% in these countries, Sweden and France. And the media won't tell you because they're all on the same agenda. The mainstream media is in the socialist movement. 20 percentile control you, 80% become slave. They refuse to say that it's radical Islam. They refuse to tell you it's definitely not peaceful. If they're Sharia law believers, they're not peaceful. Trust me, you're going to convert one day or you die. That's Sharia law for you. So I want to show that there's overtone of darkness coming over Europe and the world. And so this is really strange what we're seeing. So, on the heels of that, of course, I do believe as the finances progress, you'll see what I mean. But on the other side of it, if we have massive instability socially, are you prepared Do you have emergency food? Just a little bit at least. Don't be caught. Now, we have our facilities in Florida. We're used to this because hurricanes. So we know. But are you prepared? Do you have heirloom seeds that you can actually replant if you had to? And you do it in a bucket in your own apartment if you're in an apartment. And that's a very inexpensive way to go. So anyway, take a check out with this. It's very important to be prepared, and it's a Joseph moment. And let's do it right here.
Cornerstone Asset Metals has focused on using gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is a key to being successful in an unstable economic environment. So we launched Heaven's Harvest, heirloom seeds and emergency food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, cornerstoneassetmetals.com, or calling 1-888-747-3309. Call now, 1-888-747-3309.
Don't depend on somebody else to prepare your future for you. Prepare for you to be successful in your future. You need to take the initiative, do it yourself. Don't throw it off on the government. Whatever you do, don't put it off on the government and say the government's going to take care of you. You're burying your head in the sand. You're tricking yourself. Look at our Social Security system right now. A absolute mess.
Okay, I want to get in on that one. Do you know, a little side note?
It doesn't take much to get you in
Well,
on
but this is a side note. Do you know that right now the illegal aliens walking right into our country through that open border policy, which is a dream, a utopic liberal dream that is absolutely failing? Look at Europe. But do you know that illegal aliens right now receive more money annually in all different types of welfare benefits than our Social Security retirees? Man, you better vote, retirees. If that sits well with you, then don't. I don't see how it does. So anyway, Charles, I wanted to put that in because it's shocking to me.
Well, we just need to be prepared. People are just, it seems like people sit until there's a tragedy, wait until there's a tragedy to try to fix something. You can't do that. You have to get prepared. One of the reasons that we talk about gold and silver is because that gold and silver is a tangible. It's something you can get in your hand and hold it. It's not like paper money, which is just paper. And it's not worth any more than what it's printed on, except if somebody will trade you something for it. There's going to be a time when there's so much of this printed that it's not going to be worth hardly anything.
And they're doing that right now. Matter of fact, let's go here because I wanted to outline what's happening in Europe. Since England left, if you've heard of the word Brexit, they voted to leave the EU. The EU was just supposed to be a trade partnership, and it never was. If you study where it came from a steel cooperative, and it traces its roots all the way back to Nazis. So the definition of Nazi just means National Socialism. Well, since England voted to leave the EU, look at this headline. The rise of a German superstate. I can't make this up. Germany and France, I was warning people, they were going to come out and announce on the heels of the election that they were going to form, Germany and France were forming a superstate, meaning all armies were going to be dissolved, all government, economic, banking, you name it, were dissolved, and it was going to be ran by a European nation. They were going to form a European nation, just what the Nazis wanted to do.
So you're saying that the individual countries were going to dissolve their armies and have a national or supernatural
a European nation and a European army. They were going to do European armies. Now, why this is so huge?
Man.
Well, that's the Nazis. So they were going to do this, and they didn't want to announce it to affect the vote in England. And the English people were smarter anyway. They knew that this wasn't right. So that is extremely bad news for Europeans. And let's hope other Europeans catch on and get the heck out of the way, because that superstate is a national socialist order, and it's already bad. Look at what's happening in Europe right now with the rapes and the Islam infiltration destroying their cultures, and with the Islamic terrorism killing babies and children. So look at this image here. This is what jolted the global order and why right now the finances have been shifting. They're out. Global order jolted. England leaves the EU. And how huge that is. England's been a monarchy, this current monarchy, for well over 1,000 years. They knew they were going to form a national socialist order of Europe, and the English are like, we're keeping our country. That's why they're out, by the way. Now, this is such a dark moment because Europe is on the verge of collapsing. As Europe collapses, so goes America. So I shouldn't laugh, but I'm just so blown away at how legitimate this is. And so I want people to recognize that, because it's huge and it's important. And in the last part of the global order, for we the people, get prepared. But no, look at this last image. And I got the quote right here. I'm going to pull it out and end it on this. The Pope actually said along, and this is quote, this is out of the LaCroix newspaper. The Pope said in a shocking interview, he likened Jesus Christ to ISIS and said, I won't go there. Today, I don't think that there is a fear of Islam as such, but of ISIS, and it's a war of conquest, which is partly drawn from Islam. He told French newspaper LaCroix, it's true that the idea of conquest is inherent, just like that of the Matthew's gospel, where Jesus sends the disciples to all nations. Can you believe this Jesuit Pope, who is an AKA communist, because that's what Jesuits are, actually compared Gospel of Matthew to ISIS? I don't see the disciples going around cutting off heads, burning people, throwing acid, raping women and children, killing women and children. All due respect, Mr. Pope. And I will never come under the authority of you, and this church is not united, and don't say that protest is over. Anyway, God bless each and every one of you. Get ready. It's going to be interesting.
Watch us again, over and over again on wealthtransfernews.com, and be sure to be back here, same place, same time next week. We'll see you then for the Wealth Transfer.
Are you concerned about the security of your financial future? Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you prepare for the extraordinary times ahead by protecting and preserving your assets through silver and gold. At Cornerstone, the protection and preservation of your investment is our first goal. So we are here to serve you with honesty, transparency, and respect. Take control of your future by registering on our website at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. or call us toll-free at 888-747-3309. Call now, 888-747-3309.